What's up, guys? It's Brian again from Lake Kicker Scuba and Marina. If you are new to our channel, do me a huge favor. Hit this little subscribe button right here and ding that little bell as well. That way you guys are going to be notified every time we upload new content. Now, I just finished up making a dive on the Coopers Barge. If you're not familiar with what that is, basically it's a barge or a shipwreck, if you will, in about 150 foot of water down in Bonaire. And this is an absolutely beautiful dive site. There's plenty of reefs around it that you can see stuff. Of course, there's a nice flat bottom, and there's just very little current. There is some current, but not a lot that you couldn't fight it if you needed to. And it's a great place to do training. Now, on this particular dive that you're going to watch, I'm going to actually walk you through the process of this particular technical dive. We had a group of about 8 divers going down on it, where 3 of us were going to be doing technical diving. We're going to have 3 of us just doing decompression diving, and then we're going to have 2 of them that's just doing recreational. And hopefully throughout this video, I can kind of explain the difference between, say, recreational decompression and full-blown technical diving. Now, as you will notice throughout this video, that we're all breathing different mixes. So we have 2 that's on Trimix, we have 1 that's on nitrox, and then of course everybody else is simply on air. But hopefully you guys will get a better understanding of the differences between, say, recreational deco, and then of course technical diving as well. So with that being said, let's jump into today's video and learn a little bit more about the different types of diving. All right, guys, let's just jump right into the dive here. We got a group of 8 divers. We got 2 recreational, 3 decompression or recreational decompression divers, and then we've got 3 technical divers, all headed down to the Coopers Barge, which sits in about 150 foot of water. Now, we are going to have to divide this group up because obviously our recreational guys, they can't go any deeper than 130. Even our decompression guys, which these 2 here you see, they can't go any deeper than 130, so we're going to have to kind of split up. Once we finish, our recreational guys, they're just going to head straight back up to the surface, my daughter being one of them, and then our decompression guys, they're going to hang out at their depth limitation, and then as we finish up on the barge, we'll reconvene with them and then drift upstream. Now that we've reached the barge, the bottom here is about 150 foot of depth. The top of the barge is around 135, so it's about a 15 foot tall structure there, but it's an absolutely beautiful shipwreck to go dive on. If you are just getting into technical diving, by all means, head down to Bonaire, make this dive. It's a great, relaxing technical dive as well, where you can spend about 15 to 20 minutes there on the bottom and, you know, still have plenty of air left to finish out your dive as well. But as we explore, there's a couple of things I do want to talk about. One of the problems about doing dives that are not local to you, which means if you're out in the Caribbean area and you're doing some technical dives, is getting the right mix for your dive. See, it's a little bit different at our shop. In our shop, you come in, we make your mix. We got all the time in the world to make your mix, and that way you can make sure you got the right gas blend for whatever dive you're doing. But down here in Bonaire, you don't really have that much time to worry about that. So even when I asked for a specific blend down here, I didn't get the exact blend that I needed. Now, David, as you can see, he's just breathing 25% oxygen, or known as 25% nitrox. I'm actually on a 26-31 blend, which only allowed me 143 foot for my maximum operating depth. And even though this shipwreck sets in 150 feet, I was actually okay with that because I really didn't have any value in going to 150 foot just to lay in the bottom on the sand. So I was perfectly okay with the blend I got. I didn't really worry about it. There's really not much to see at the bottom of this barge anyways. Most of it's on top. So yeah, if you ever find yourself in a situation, you can either complain about it or simply just be mature, change your dive plan, and still have a good day of diving. So that's basically what I did. Now that we finished up on the barge, we're going to come up to a depth of about 50 feet for a good, probably a mile-long swim. Now, we are going upstream or up current here to get back to the resort area where we're staying at. And it's not much of a current, but it is a light enough current that you want to take your time. You don't want to waste a lot of gas because you'll blow through your gas before you know it. And here you can see I did slightly go over my MOD. I hit a depth of 146 feet. We're currently 38 minutes into the dive, and currently I've got 11 minutes of decompression. If you did notice that decompression time did jump to 13 minutes, cool little fun fact about you, you still own gas nitrogen even as you come up. And I know in Open Water 101, we're taught as we come up, we start off-gassing. That is not always the case. I actually gained 2 minutes of decompression, and all I did was just essentially extended a couple of feet. So given how long you're at depth, you may actually still on-gas some nitrogen. Now here I've already switched over to my Deco gas, and I'm just about ready to clear out. I think I've got about 1 minute left of decompression here, which is absolutely phenomenal. And I'm just about to get to the resort. You can see one of the boats above my head. There, I've got about 1 minute of decompression left. And, of course, it should kick me out just any second there. There it says I'm no longer in decompression. However, based off my gradient factor, I am. And it should kick me out here in just a second. Yep, there, boom. I am completely out of decompression at that point, which means my high gradient factor is already kicked out to what I had it set at, or my surface gradient. Now, I am wearing a backup computer, and it still says I've got about 1 minute. This is something to think about when you get into technical diving. You may be diving two different computers, even with the same algorithm. They may read differently, so you want to make sure that you follow both computers out whenever you're doing dives like this, because you don't want one to lock you out. Even though you didn't do anything wrong, one of your computers may actually lock you out. But yeah, it's an absolutely beautiful shipwreck to go dive, and yeah, I'm ready to go back and do it again. Alright guys, before we end the video, I do want to show you a couple of different things really quick. One, I'm going to go through my dive log itself of this dive, and then I'm actually going to show you the dive profile in a chart format to give you a better understanding of all the different information that you need to understand when you go out and you make a technical dive. Now, as I stated, this was on the Coopers Barge down in Bonaire. This was done on January 9th, 2025, and it was around the 3 o'clock time frame there. Hit a max depth of 146 feet for 78 minutes. Now that's the total run time of the dive was 78, and the average depth of that dive was right at that 50 foot, so it's about 49.5 feet. Of course, water temp was 82, had a 3.5 hour surface interval before the dive, and my gradient factor was at a 40/70, which is a pretty conservative. I was breathing a Trimix of 2631 blend, and of course you can see my air pressures there as well. Now, I personally don't use air integration. Yes, I have two air integrated computers, but I don't use the air integration feature. So of course all those numbers I'm just having to use manually inputted into the log. But there you can see some of my dive buddies. You can see all the different species of fish that I saw on that dive. And as I stated before, this is just an absolutely gorgeous dive to go and explore. You got a nice beautiful reef before you get to the barge, and then of course if you swim upstream towards the resort where we stay at, by all means you're going to see a ton of different species as well. But here's just a quick rundown as well. You can see what my ending OTUs are, which is a little high for my liking, but hey, it worked. I had a total of 160 cubic foot of gas to breathe. You can see my sac rate built in there, and just really quick rundown of what those gases was. As I said, I was decoing out on 32% nitrox as well. So it's a great little blend to deco out, plus it's free. If you ever go to Bonaire and dive, nitrox is basically free. So it's really cool. There it just kind of goes over the visibility of the water temp, air temp, the whole 9 yards. But here's the actual chart. So this was my dive profile. What I want you to focus on is the bottom number, that green number. That green is going to be my surface gradient factor, i.e. that's going to be the gradient factor I set as a high gradient. Anytime it's above what you set, you are in decompression. So if I was set at 40/70, anytime that green number is above 70, I'm in decompression. And then as I come up, as I start to bleed off some nitrogen, or even when I switch to a deco gas, that number is going to start to creep down. Now once it goes below 70, that means I'm simply out of decompression at that point. As you can see, it is slowly coming down. Once I make my gas switch over, you will notice that it will immediately basically drop below 70, and there I'm out of decompression. But that's pretty much what my profile actually looked like on this particular tech dive. So there you go, guys. That was our technical dive on the Coopers Barge down in Bonaire. It's an absolutely beautiful shipwreck to go dive. Not much current. There is a little bit of current, but not much. And from the resort area that we stayed at, it was about a mile drift upstream. I guess technically that's not a drift, it's a swim. But yeah, it's about a mile upstream from where we're at. And so we were able to drop down on the Coopers, or on the barge, come up to about 50 feet, and then swim upstream all the way back to the resort. And it's just an absolutely beautiful place to go dive. Bonaire in general is a diving mecca. If you've never been, that's basically all there is to do there is dive. And you can dive unlimited, as much as you want. The resort that we stay at literally has tanks all throughout. So if you get up early in the morning and you want to go dive, grab you a tank and go dive. They do offer both shore diving and boat diving, but the shore diving is just absolutely phenomenal. And there's a lot of great Caribbean islands that you can do shore diving on, but Bonaire is specifically known for divers, and that's, as I stated, that's about all there is to do there. So yeah, if you've never been down there, by all means, go to Bonaire, enjoy your stay there, enjoy your diving, and I think you'll really have a great time. But before we end, once again, if you have any questions about the difference between, say, recreational diving, recreational decompression diving, and of course, full-blown technical diving, drop me a comment down below, and I'm going to put you several links down below as well, because I always get the question, what's the difference between, say, recreational deco and full-on tech? If it's the same training and we go through the same procedural process, what is the major difference? And the biggest answer, or the best answer I can give you, is it's based off depth rating and decompression gases and how long you can go into decompression. So the recreational decompression class is called recreational because you're not allowed any deeper depths than 130 feet. However, you're going to go through the same procedural processes, meaning the deco switches and planning stages and all that, as what you would in a full-on tech course. Now, you're only going to be allowed up to 15 minutes of decompression, which means you can never have more than, say, 15 minutes before you can reach the surface. And then lastly, because you've got to be nitrox certified, you're only going to be allowed up to 40% decompression gas as your decompression gas, because that's all you're certified at the recreational decompression level, or I'm sorry, the recreational nitrox level is at 40%. Now, once you get into full-blown tech, you gain depth. This is where you go, say, from 130 down to, say, 150 or 200 or 300, whatever the depth rating for the class you're taking. Plus, you get to breathe different mixes. So you're going to go, say, from recreational 40% all the way up to 100% decompression gas, and then on into Trimix as well, which is a blend of 3 different gases: oxygen, nitrogen, and helium. So it is a great class to take if you're not quite sure technical is the way that you want to go, because you can do it in recreational equipment. You don't have to have doubles. You don't have to have side mount. The recreational decompression class is an absolutely great class to get your foot in the door to see if it's something that you're going to like. And I know a lot of people say, well, why would you ever want to go deep without multiple bottles? And I completely agree with you. But there's a lot of divers out there that have really, really good sac rates. Maybe they're just diving, say, the Meg Ledge off the North Carolina coast, and they just want to spend a couple extra minutes trying to get some shark's teeth. They don't really need doubles for that. They don't need side mount. They don't need any specialized gases. Maybe they're only going to go into decompression for a minute or two and then come up. This is a great class for somebody like that, to where the full-on technical classes allows you even deeper depths, longer decompression times, and higher percentages of decompression gases to bring yourself out. But guys, I really hope that answered some of your questions. If you like this video, you want to see more technical videos, give me a thumbs up and drop me a comment down below what you guys want to see next, and we will try our best to get a video made for you. But we got one more day left down in Bonaire, and we're going to just have the time of our lives, go out and explore the island. And then, of course, we got to fly home really quick, because I've got a trip down to Florida just as soon as we get back and get our gear swapped out, where I'm actually teaching the recreational decompression class along with a cavern class as well. So I've got to get back in time to get my gear swapped out and head down to Florida to do that. But guys, if you did enjoy the video, give me a big thumbs up. Definitely share it. I'm going to go ahead and sign off today. Take care. God bless. And I'll see you in the next one.